I am so delighted that you guys stayed later. I know it's a weeknight, but this conversation is really important. And I'm very pleased that some folks here who made the film, who relate to this film, are here to have a conversation with you. I want to emphasize, this is a conversation. So if you want to be a part of it, please move forward, because I can't see you or hear you that far back. This is a conversation. This is not a normal, I do this all the time. It's not like we see a movie, Q&A. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to say, let's talk about what we just saw. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to each other? And so I'm going to start by first having each person here introduce themselves and how they relate to this project. Are you going to stand up? People want to see you. Come on, they love that hat. Come on now. Yes, on.
Check.
Yes, thank you again for having us.
Can you hear?
Can you hear us? Okay, so first I want to introduce myself. Born and raised in Newark. My name is Joya Miles, and I'm a part of this panel and also a part of the Q&A. I do work for the city. I'm a detective for Newark Police Division as well, but I'm also here as an individual and a human being as a person. So the Q&A will be based off of the film and based off of real life experiences that I experienced in our city of Newark. Thank you again for having us, and phenomenal movie to all that partake in the movie.
All right. What's going on, everybody? I'm Tobias.
Come on, brother. Come on, brother. Come on. Thank you.
I played Detective Johnson in the film, and thank you for coming out.
Oh, before you sit down,
Yes.
you play more than that. Come on now. Share.
Yeah. I played Detective Johnson.
Yep,
the
you
film.
recognize his face, right? All right, come on. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm in other stuff. You might see me on Sisters at this moment.
There you go.
Tyler Perry and First Wives Club.
That's right.
And you might see me in the Christmas movie,
Okay.
Holiday Heist, TV One movie, Love to Death, and different projects along the way, and Empire and all those. And I'm here right now. I reside in this city, Newark, New Jersey, and I love this. I love this city, and I love the people in this city. And thank you.
All right, brother. Humble brother, humble brother. All right. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Rasheen Peppers. Hey, how you guys doing? I'm a stakeholder here in the city of Newark. I'm a career law enforcement officer here, and I'm here to be intimate with you today.
All right.
All right, I'm here to sit down, confab, share, so that we can possibly walk away with some understanding, some direction, and also to promulgate things to make our community that much better. All right, so I want to thank you for being invited, and I look forward to this conversation.
Thank you, my brother. Get your dictionaries ready, because this brother's deep. Yes, come on.
Mic check. Can everybody hear me? Ooh. All power to the people, everybody.
Right on.
I'm Brother Zaid Muhammad, and I'm here because out of Detective Johnson's mouth came one word that's very important to this process to appreciate, and that is accountability. I actually get paid by the ACLU to represent a body that was given to us by the mayor of this city. Can we give Mayor Rash Jua a round of applause for me?
All right,
Yes,
all right,
yes.
all right.
2014, as soon as he came in, he made by executive order, not only did he create the first civilian police review board in the state of New Jersey, but the strongest in the country. And because there is a movement for justice in this town that is decades old, older than most of you in this room, I mean over 50 years old.
That's right.
Somebody got in the ear of every single body on the Newark City Council and made that executive ordinance become a law, right? Now, I'm saying that to say, because this needs to go somewhere, because we had an incredible piece of work by this young man that made everything black, white, and gray. And we got to learn how to deal with it. But something that's missing that we have to deal with is the people's movement for justice.
And that's why we're here today,
Right?
brother. So
And
let me get there. I'm bringing it back, but we're gonna do it. Go ahead, brother. Come on.
All right.
This brother here.
Come on, Mr.
I gotta say something about this brother. I get a phone call. What was it like? What was it? No. This brother contacted me. By the way, I'm the vice chairman of the Museum of Moving Image in New York. I made some movies too. You may have seen some of my movies I made, but I do both. But he said, man, I want to show my film. I said, okay, we worked that out. I said, but can you guarantee you're going to fill the house? He said, oh, no doubt. We had so many people in there, and the conversation was intense. Talk about it. And then it was over. I said, brother, the only thing I want you to do now, it's good to show it in the artistic context and have what we did, but take it to another level. Have a community conversation. I look up now, he's done it. He's heard what I said. So, brother, being here today showed me that you're listening and building. So thank you. So please, brother, share more about what you...
Peace. How y'all doing out there? First, I want to say thank you. I feel the love up in here. I thought Philly was the only place to city brotherly love, but damn, I feel the love up in here.
All right.
Beautiful. But equal standard represents what I see it as freedom.
All right.
Represents choice. A lack of accountability that needs to be enforced and become a moral obligation. But we also have to reflect on ourselves as well. We can't sit there and blame too many other people when we also doing it to ourselves also. So it's a balance. The reason what made me write this film was because I've seen a lot of films that's been coming out with like money grab films that was really adding more fuel to the racism, but really wasn't trying to relinquish it. Society is not really ready for this right here. A lot of these platforms are scared of this. This is like the film that they don't want you to see, especially because it's election year right now. So y'all voice is very important.
And we're here now to hear your voices. Come on now.
Very important.
I got to move it along. Go ahead, my brother.
Right. Share that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how y'all doing? For those that don't know me, my name is Jay Paris. Usually with Taheem, me and him got a long-standing relationship. So what was dope was he was like, yo, I'm doing this movie, Jay. I didn't have a character at the time. Remember that? He said, I got to write you in there, but I don't want you to play a gangster. You've been playing gangsters forever. He's like, I want you to play the working man. So when I heard that, I was like, yo, you know what? That's deep. But what I loved about the film in the whole is that it's not only talking about what's going on from the black side, but it's also talking about what's going on from the white side. And how the point where he made where they're scared of us. You understand? And they don't, they watch us on TV, they watch all the violence and stuff, and then they gotta come and patrol us. So just that alone is a story that you really don't see. And you don't understand that it's a fight on both sides. So it's not just about black, but it's also about white and how they feel.
Yes, sir.
All right?
All right. Now, here's how we're going to do this. I want to emphasize, this is the discussion, this is a conversation, this is about relationship. Because these communities, law enforcement and our community, is a relationship. And any relationship sometimes is bumpy and sometimes it's peaceful. But it's a guaranteed relationship that has to work. So we're here today to talk about how can we make this relationship work. Because it's essential. It's not optional. So I'm going to balance between here and there. Now, who has the mic in the back here? Okay. So if you have something to say, go ahead and tee up now, because we'll get to you. Now, please, I've seen this movie twice now. Of course, you say it. Your first time seeing it?
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. First time seeing it? Okay, from your first time seeing it, I'm interested in your points of view, because it's fresh in your mind. It's fresh. What was the number one takeaway about the relationship? Please comment on that.
Well, the relationships were on different levels,
Yes, sir.
right? You had the relationship of the main character who seemed to be embedded in this community, more so through one particular character who pretty much advocated for him to to have that connectivity.
Brother, I'm going to interrupt you only because you shifted your critic's hat. Please give me your personal,
I'm going to give you my personal.
but I'm interested not about, we saw it. What do you feel about this brother's insight and authenticity? Did he get it right? You would know. You would know. You would know.
No, I think I know he got it right.
All right, so I want to hear it. That's what I want to hear.
No, he got it right.
All right. We agree with that, right? Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
But there were other connections. What I appreciated about the film, it was equitable.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I appreciate about it.
Equal standards.
It showed that, yeah, racism does exist within the agency, but every person that is not of color in the agency are not racist, right?
Okay. Okay.
It also targeted some things with implicit biases, right? There are implicit biases amongst all of us, though, okay? Even in our own black community, okay? Also, there's the explicit biases that were obvious and it was open and we saw that.
Yes.
So I think that I know his film covered all of that, right? So I believe it was equitable.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Joya?
This is pretty much easy because when you actually deal and work with the community, it's more so as it's personal. And when you're from the city of Newark, it is personal. One thing I must salute the brother for a phenomenal film. Honestly, he spoke on some key points, more so as giving us a different perspective of, being biased and whether it's in the community or within the household. The sister touched on points of just being in Shore Hills, Livingston, opposed to being in Newark. So I think that it was really grounded. I think that we need that, and I think that the community need to see from not just law enforcement, but also what's going on in our city and in the community, more so as if it's in a complex that consists of broken windows, or if it's in Livingston Mall. So I think that it really was, and I think that the only point I would say is that you really got to be out here in the community to see both, and bias plays a very important part, implicit and explicit, which we also know more about.
Mic check, am I hear me?
Yes, sir.
He gave us where we need to go within the institutions. We need that friction within the players to make that work. Of course, the X factor is the power of the people. Okay? So when I opened with where I was going with the remarks about the whole question of accountability and where we're at in this town in this fight, and the fight is long but over. We're getting ready to go to the state Supreme Court over our civilian review board, and we're going to have to pack that court like we packed this theater tonight, right? That variable that is the X factor is important. But I want to appreciate him again because Amiri Baraka taught us something as artists, that art anticipates where the movement is supposed to go. And you have rightly identifying that the industry is not going to jump for joy with this because it does not uphold the blue wall. It does not uphold white supremacy. It doesn't uphold that. It challenges all of that in a way that they really can't argue with because you had it coming from within, right? But we have to understand it has never come by itself from within. If it ever happens from within, it's because the people in the street shutting stuff down, packing courtrooms, turning the volume up over the question of putting things in place to make things equitable and just make that happen. If we want to see this become real, it's going to be up to us to make that difference in the street.
Brother Tobias, you have, as we spoke earlier, a distinguished and varied career. Now, as this brother has pointed out, this is a movie that breaks the conventions, breaks the norms. So you can say some folks don't want it to be seen because it's raising issues that are too confrontational, with contradictions. So as an artist, as a working filmmaker, did you ever have any pause, any hesitation to get into a movie that was so forthright, so assertive?
Yes.
Okay, talk about it.
I think everybody that's followed me, even from the first time I quit my job and pursued this career, it was always a strong faith inside of me and that leap of faith to push myself forward. So when this particular project came up and Taheem and the script was available, you know, one of the things that Taheem always says that he writes his characters with somebody in mind. And in the beginning, you know, Taheem and I had a little tug of war, but he had his vision on who was supposed to play this part. And I'm glad that, you know, he saw me in this role. But this type of subject matter, this type of character is important. And, you know, this is the stuff that I live for. This is the type of work that I want to do. So, you know, it was an easy, you know, I didn't have to really convince myself to do this role. This was the type of work that I want to put out. And to be able to see me in this lead type of role, it was important to me. So thank you to Taheem and, you know, having the opportunity.
And as you pointed out earlier, you guys are so tight that he made sure you was part of it. So when you got involved, how much creative latitude did you have in terms of shaping a role that wasn't in the original version?
Well, I mean, from the beginning, it was easy because he just was saying, yo, Jay, I just don't want you to play a thug. You know what I'm saying? I remember that time and time again. I just want to see you do something
said,
different.
I want that part myself, right?
Yeah.
I got it.
You know what I'm saying? Right, yeah. So for me, it was just like, you know, I agreed 100%, you know, because a lot of times I'm typecast, you know, on them type of roles. So for me, it was just easy, and I embraced it. And even when we was going over scenes, he's like, yo, Jay, I want you to do it like this, or this is where, you know, my direction is for this character. So he just made me, you know, just made it home for me.
I tell you, you are what they call that multi-hyphenate. Writer, producer, actor. So talk about, because those are three different parts of the brain. Talk about a day on the set when you got to hit on all three cylinders.
Well, you forgot one area. I also self-financed it.
I forgot the most important part of it. And that's that, brother. I have much respect. Go ahead.
Word. So, like I said, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I can't say that enough. You know what I mean? I'm blessed. I'm humble. You know, I always lead with integrity and end with humility. You know what I'm saying? So, but just wearing all them hats, I never studied film ever in my life. I never picked up a book on film. Never. You know, I actually just had a vision, and I saw it come to life in my mind that it was already out there before I even submitted it to the people that you see on the stage. And I never had a film motivate me to write so much. You know what I mean? Like, this film just took over me. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't stop writing. I was like, every time I doze off for a few minutes, I'm back up writing 15 pages. I'm back another 10 pages. It just motivated me. And then I had told Ice-T one day, I was like, yo, I got this new project called Equal Standard, man. This is it. He said, what about Southside? I said, we're going to put Southside to the side for a minute, but this one is resonating. This is like Moses going up to the mountain and got the message. Like, yo, it was one of those type of resonating feelings that, and as I was writing, I felt the pain because there was times that I was crying during it, times that created laughter, but I knew I had to create a balance. So if you notice, I exemplified the movie Crash and put more than one story because I knew one story wouldn't do it. It's like a rapper create just one verse. You're not gonna like it. You gotta have several bars for you to find something for it to resonate. And then I seen a lot of these other movies that was coming out, not to take anything away from people that write that look like me, you know what I mean? But I felt they were money grab films, blockbusters. They wasn't really gonna target the people to speak.
You gonna call some names, brother?
I'll just say the names, you know what I mean?
I'm just teasing you, brother.
I was going to present that anyway. Like, when you write movies, because titles is everything. When you write a movie like The Hate You Give, you isolate yourself and you create more anger. And not only do you create more anger, you deter the people that would like to speak out away from you. Like, oh, you hate us? We dealing with a society that suffers from cognitive dissonance. So if we can't penetrate that mind, it won't work. And that was my mission, to penetrate and strike with precision. And from your responses, I believe I did a great job for this to be my first film.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
In fact, we got somebody at the mic back there. Somebody. Okay, here we go.
Yes, we have a question.
Here we go. First question. Line up for the second and third question. Come on now.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As a young person myself, this question mainly is about what should young people take, like advice, what important advice or information should young people take from this movie? How should we go about living our lives in somewhat fear? How should we react to the consequences?
Who's the question directed to?
Anyone.
Who wants it? Who wants it?
You want to start it off with it?
But we don't do too many people. So
Advice,
either Tobias or you, either one.
The
Who wants
advice
it?
I would give the young, because I also think like you as well. It's just an age differential, but I'm moving various tones. It's hard to remove yourself from fear, you know what I mean? Especially when you up against so much. Not only against people that look like you, but people that don't look like you. Then you have social media that also influences the youth. But just be true to you. That's what it's all about. Be true to you. You lead by example. People are going to always have their own opinions in the way they view you. As long as you know you think in a positive light and remain resilient and stay focused, things will work its way out.
All right. Another question back there?
Yes, we have another question.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Say
We're
something,
going
Tobias?
to bounce in for a second. B, go ahead. All right.
So I'm sorry, I gotta get out of here. Power 105, Powers Industry, Power 105, DJ Rainbow Show. We interview a lot of actors. But what I'm always interested to know is the locations. What made you pick those specific locations to, express your vision for the film?
Well, for one, I'm from the street. I'm from the Queensbridge. You know what I mean. So of course, I gotta tap into a particular area where it's highly enforced more than any, which is in a project. Because a project, if you look at it, it was a project. You know what I mean. So I had to use that area. But I bounced around not only in one particular area. I bounced around in the areas of the oppressors as well, where I made some that oppress and I made some that also speak in favor of us. So I couldn't have did it in any other area, but in a project like that. It resonates more. Don't think it doesn't happen in residential areas, but it's more prone to happen in a 6-block radius. Queensbridge is the largest projects in the world, 96 buildings, 6 blocks. So a lot happens within one area. There's blocks you don't even go to the next day. You're like, yo, I ain't been over this since last week. You know what I mean? But that's just what happens. So I wanted to really target the people that look like me and identify what I'm going through, and where I also have crowd control, because crowd control also plays a major important factor when you're doing it self-financing, because you don't have all the security, all the trailers, and all that other nonsense that you may need sometimes for these real Hollywood actors. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So,
Tobias.
and but also the one element is to show people it's possible. They watch my walk of life. I did prison time, shot 9 times, lost my life, and survived. So I'm showing the youth you can do it if you apply the application.
Yep. Okay, on that side now.
All right, we have a question.
Hi, I'm Gordon Chambers. Proud to be here, a good friend of Tobias and Michelle. And first of all, this film was so profound. It was excellent. Just big up to the film, big up to the nuances in the film, big up to the families. It was so beautiful that you saw a grandmother, you saw a prisoner with a sister, you saw so many scenes with Selena, who was amazing, playing a wife, and you saw the daughter. I just loved that everyone had a family, and you really felt the presence of family. And the question is, I wanted to know for Tobias what research you did, working with black law enforcement. What was your process? I don't know if you have that in your family, but what was your process? And I wanted to actually have the law enforcement people on the panel talk about the history of black law enforcement. I don't know. This film takes place in New York, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, but just the presence and the history of being in law enforcement and those nuances and when you feel tension within your own community and how you manage to hold your head high and have some dignity. And I just wanted the filmmaker to say why you wanted to concentrate the film on a black law enforcement, because that's something very unique and we don't really see it in this full body portrayal like you did. So excellent job. Thank you.
Cool. For myself, we had a law enforcement consultant on the set. So, Tahim is very strict on having certain things like the dialogue. It had to be accurate, like just so that it was believable. Just through my own training, I've dealt with, firearms and things of that nature. Played other cop roles and stuff. So, those were things that I picked up along the way. And then anything and even played in the military roles. But anything that was, was always trying to aim for the authenticity for the character. So we always had someone on board that we can consult with. Does this make sense with this? Would a police officer do something this way or another way? So we was always checking in, and then like I said, Tahim, there was certain dialogue that we had to make sure was on point.
Okay.
And I guess I'll address the history.
Yeah.
Well, for the history, specifically here in Newark, New Jersey, my grandfather when he came on the job here in Newark, he probably was the 4th African-American police officer here, and that was in 1955. And he was a member that started this great organization that we have here today, which is the Bronze Shield, that are sitting here on the panel, and we have some members back there as well.
Hands up, Bronze Shield. Hands up. All right, stand up, stand up, stand up.
All right.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
And I remember as a little boy in the 80s, and I used to go to my grandfather's office in 22 Franklin Street in the Annex, and this is something that I wanted to be. And my uncles end up becoming police officers, and then I wanted to be like my uncles. What I'm saying is that, the Bronze Shield members, because of the culture of police, we're creating our own subculture, okay? We're creating our own subculture, and how do we do that? By going out, being a part of this community, being stakeholders, going into our school systems, talking to our children, right? And being a part of everyday Newark, okay? Everyday Newark. When I leave out of here, and many of us, I live on South 9th Street. I've been a cop here 24 years, all right? I never left my community, okay? I'm here, okay? And what's interesting is that the same office as a little boy that I went to, when we talk about history and we talk about subculture, is the office that I'm the commander of right now, right? So see how that full circle goes? So the culture is changing here, right? I know what the movie may depict, but because of the leadership that we have here in the city, the direction that we're going in the city, and the men and women in the Bronze Shield and the Hispanic law enforcement, we are changing the narrative here in the Newark Police Department.
Okay, up here.
Good evening. My name is Rick Robinson. I'm the NAACP New Jersey State Conference Criminal Justice Chairman. I'm also the Criminal Justice Chairman for the City of Newark, New Jersey, NAACP. So I heard your words there, sir, and I want to applaud you for now, because before it wasn't like that. So, and I got a lot of people that I know, even relatives, that have suffered at the hands of beatings by the police. So what I want to ask the panel is, first of all, I want to give you all a round of applause for doing a well job. and, you know, especially the director and the actor for bringing this to the attention, because this is very timely. It's very timely. I think Brother Zaire just mentioned that the city of Newark is about to go to the New Jersey Supreme Court. I work at law firms. A lot of lawyers don't even get to go to the appellate level. And we're going to the Supreme Court. This change would not have happened in the city of Newark if it wasn't for the mayor, Raj J. Baraka. It wouldn't have. So we have to give him his kudos. Now, my question is for the police and for Brother Zaire. Together, do you feel that we're moving in the right direction? Because there's brothers and sisters being shot in Minnesota. There's brothers and sisters being shot in North Carolina. There's brothers and sisters being shot all over this nation. So I need to understand, because I'm in the fight to actually seek justice. I don't care what color you are, but I seen personally brothers and sisters being violated at the hands of police. And I'm part of that actual stoppage. You look at my shirt, you look at my hat, and a lot of people here know my face. They know that I want to seek change. I need to seek change just like you guys need to seek change, but I want to know if you actually can embrace the component of change within the community,
Okay.
and how we can actually go further with the nation.
Who wants to take the question?
The question's for Zaid, and the question's for Sergeant Peppers.
Okay, there we go.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think I'm black too, right? Let's be real clear, okay? Don't get my badge or my gun. I wasn't born with that, okay? And if you're talking about change, that's good, right? Because we need people on the outside to change. But we also need people in here, in this organization, to create that change and also advocate for the people on the outside as well. See, one thing, the difference between you and I is that I've been on the outside and I'm on the inside. You only been on the outside. Okay, when I get in the car, and I'll give you a quick story. One thing about me, I had the privilege of being with a federal agency for about 10 years of my career. And I've had the opportunities to travel the U.S., right? I got pulled over in Phoenix. Super Bowl, I think it was All-Star Weekend, when they had it out in Phoenix, Arizona. I was pulled over, okay? And what I'm telling you is verifiable. And I was pulled over. They didn't care that I had a badge that said United States Marshals. They didn't care about that. Off of a minor traffic infraction, pulled me over, violated me, took my gun and my badge, threw it in the car. And after they finished violating me, you know what they said to me? We ain't gonna give you a ticket unless you want one. Do you want one? And I said, no, sir. I walked away, sat in my car. He took my firearm and asked me, did you want this? And I said, yes, sir. He took it and threw it. He said, don't you get out this car till we leave. So I say the audacity for you to think that I'm not subjected to the same system that you're subjected to. Okay? We're in this fight together. You are causing division because we're in this fight together. We're in this fight together, brother. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying we're in the fight. I'm not here to start an argument. I'm just saying we're in this fight. No, ma'am. We're in this fight together. Okay? No, we're in this fight together. That's all I'm trying to say.
And,
all right?
I just want to add to that part.
No, if you want, everybody, yes, please.
I just want to add to that part to get back on task with the movie. One thing I must say, that history do repeats itself, and you're absolutely right. But we're talking about what's going on in our city, and we're talking about what's going on as far as community. One thing that the movie showed is more so as bridging the gap, not just pertaining to racial profiling, but also about a lot of the criminal acts that's happening in our city. A lot of the violent crimes that's going on in our city. They were able to bridge two gangs to come together to put the flags down and raise up a major issue that the young lady said she walks in fear. Stand in your truth. Stand in your truth and be a leader, and don't be afraid to Speak out on it. Speak out on what you know is right and speak out what you know is wrong. And if we keep dwelling on the past, we're never going to get forward. The movie showed that we need to move forward. How can we move forward? By this individual being a black detective, speaking out, doing the right things, speaking up for one of his friends. And his friends went in the community to say, listen, we need to get involved, but we need to do it the right way. That man was a working man. He said, I'm a shooter, but I'm a working man. So sometimes we have to stop thinking about other locations and places, because right here in Newark, we support and our community support us back.
All right. Over here on this side. Okay.
They did ask me. Desmond Robinson. If you don't know that name, y'all should. Desmond Robinson was a black undercover police officer in New York City, shot in the back by his own, 1994. You were lucky, right? So to understand what they go through, we need to acknowledge that. Bringing it back to Newark, Dassir Farrell, Shakan Nance. These are some names that were killed by police officers here in Newark before we took City Hall. Yes, sir. Before we got that federal monitor making everybody behave, right? So I will say it and I will say it again. The X factor to make this thing move in the direction that we need is the power of the people organized in the street where we need to be. To my officers who are in here, this is going to be tense sometime, but you need to understand that that's a part of the growth and that's a part of the development. If you're in your community, you have to be able to understand and embrace the pain of your community. And if you want to understand how deep this thing is, Kwame Ture told us that our struggle is a protracted one. This thing, this institution was built on putting our people and keeping our people in their place, right? So there's going to be some trauma to work through that we all need to understand. Community engagement, what we're doing today and what we do in other places as a part of this reform effort is important. But it also has to be honest and genuine. So when pain comes up that's based on reality, it needs to be acknowledged. One thing that was missing in this, right, it showed trauma, but another piece that's missing is institutional support for the traumatized on both sides. On the people's side, we do reparations. On the institution side, no officer should feel ashamed or isolated if he or she needs help because they just been engaged in trauma. They need all the goddamn help they can get, right? So we need to understand both sides of that. But the X factor is you, me, us. All power to the people.
My name is William Michael Barbie. I'm a filmmaker, more of a socially conscious. My platform is mainly mental health. I want to commend everyone up there, particularly my brother Tobias, for the work that you did in this particular film. The writer, producer, director, I sit in your seat. Warrington could tell you I wrote, directed, produced, financed, you know, and so I think this movie has some real good feet. And the reason being, it's on a couple of levels. As a person who's intentional in your writing, you're speaking truth to power by representing us. Dupre's my little brother. He grew up down the street from me as a little boy. He and I sitting here talking, the way that you intentionally show what community looks like, even in the projects. You showed a community that talks together, brothers. A community that walks together as brothers. And then to have a system that we're all taught or are told to abide and respect come against us. The way you wrote this thing, man, I got to commend you again.
Thank you, bro.
You did a hell of a job.
Thank you.
And in closing, I hope that this message of the movie resonate on a larger scale. I remember with Bill Duke and then Warrington talking to me after I did my thing, and I just kept pushing it until I had a show at Tribeca, Cannes Film Festival recent, You know, this thing has legs and the exposure. We got to respect Peppers, you know, the work that this guy has, you know, his whole family has done. I knew him as a young guy, watching him all his career, but I respect the work that he's done. I respect my brother, Zaire. Right. I've known him for a long time. I know who he was. Little brothers. But you guys are doing a hell of a job. But I pray to God that this message resonate, that the conversation gets even bigger, that we bring the other side to your platforms. And what I've learned from many platforms, particularly on mental health, I don't make my platform too big. Have someone to specialize in each area. So you need that other narrative to speak about the institutionalized racism within the police department and the realities of what they face.
Say that this brother
Thank you.
here I know well, and if you know him, speak to him because he has figured out a lot of things, and he's a brother who's willing to share. I've been told we only have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to make this go quickly. We'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? We only got 10 minutes left.
All right.
1.
How you doing? My name is Sunday Moses. Tahim invited me here today to see the film. It was really good. It was impactful for me. I came today I'd like to thank y'all for the work that y'all have done, especially you and the time that you took. It's very personal for me. I've served 18 and a half years in prison since I was 19 years old. I was wrongfully convicted for a really heinous crime, very big crime. And I was recently exonerated in 2018.
All right.
Thank you. Cleared of all charges. It took most of my life. So this film was very personal for me. A lot of the things that I saw resonated a lot with me. One of the things that, it was many things, but one of the things that I want the crowd to hear, and one of the questions, I have done a lot of rallies, I've done a lot of talk shows, TV, just a whole bunch of stuff that you can see. But one of the things that stand out for me is when I think an enigma that we have to recognize is the black cop. I think that is an enigma because...
But brother, please turn that into a question because everybody...
Sure.
Please. Yes, sir.
Through that deal, I would like to ask the black officers is when tragic incidences like mine and others happen, what is the atmosphere with a Caucasian officer? What is the conversation like? What is the room like the next morning when Eric Gardner's and a Trayvon Martin
Who's
these
taking
things
it?
happen?
Who's taking it? Okay, here we go. Here's your answer.
I actually can say that being a community engagement officer and pretty much community engagement officer for 19 years, being in the city of Newark, and there's a lot of tragedy, so they actually know who to send in. And to be honest, you're gonna hear things, but you're gonna stand in your purpose. And you're going to speak the truth, whether if they agree or they disagree. And when it's time to face the community know when they deal with you on a regular basis, your truth, your honesty. And the movie showed that. He stood in his purpose, and he stood on the truth, and he stood that. And he also showed a sign of sincere. Sometimes as police officers, we could be desensitized. So we try to teach each other how to, talk to individuals, how to, when it is a tragedy in a community, what to do and how to handle it. And if they don't, then we still pull them to the side. So standing in your purpose and standing in your truth is the most important thing, and it works in the community.
They're going to blink the lights, so try to get some more questions in. Go ahead.
Yes, I know Tahim for over 10 years.
We better hear you, brother. Put your mic close to your lips.
I've
there you
known
go.
Tahim for over 10 years or better. I'm also a guy that did 11 years in federal prison, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him because I've seen him on his grind for a long time doing movies and stuff. But the narrative, like in the black community, we already know that there's a stigma against police officers.
And we need your question, brother.
And
We got much time left. Give me your question.
And the question is, how do we stop that stigma, regardless if the police officer is white or black? There's a stigma in the black community where we just don't trust law enforcement.
Okay, who wants to take the answer? Yes, sir. Please.
I want to answer that question. I'm gonna give you an example and just being from the community as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Brooklyn native. So what I'm trying to do is with my kids, right? I was on the other side of the fence, did jail time, been in the streets, everything. I want my kids on the other side of the wall because I want to teach them to protect us. You understand what I'm saying? In the community. So if we have more of us governing us, we have a better shot, you know what I'm saying? And teaching them that you can't be afraid of them. You got to become them and make the change. So I always say to my kids, I want y'all on the other side. I don't want y'all, when I was young, I picked up a gun. You understand? To protect myself in my community that I was scared of. But if they have one legally and then they know how to use it the proper way, you understand? They're hiring us. I'm giving you an example real quick. I'm sorry. Now you got to have a certain amount of college credits to become an officer. Before it wasn't like that. So what they're doing is they're trying to make it harder for us to get these jobs because they see us, more of us becoming us. So now you got the guys from Long Island that went to school, they're becoming cops, and they're afraid of us. And then when they come in our communities, the first thing they want to do is shoot because they panic because they've never been in our community. When we was growing up, we had certain cops that came from us, and they knew who my mother was, my aunt was, and everybody was, and we respected them. And that's what we need to start creating, more of us in those environments to protect us.
That's the working class perspective, too.
Hey, how you doing?
On this side.
I'm Trevor Payne. I'm going to make this real quick. I just wanted to commend you on the job you did. Accountability is key. And to my nephew, Tobias, you did a great job. Everybody did a great job. Really, my daughter wanted to ask you the question.
All right, come on. Come on.
Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm Toby's cousin, and I'm in the 9th grade. And recently in my English class, we were assigned to write an essay on how if the American justice system is fair in prosecuting African Americans. And my question is, do you believe the American justice system is completely fair when prosecuting us rightfully or wrongfully convicted?
Who's taking it?
Well,
Who wants it? Who wants it?
Well, one, if you ever look at
Stand up.
no one, if you ever look at the symbol with the veil over the eyes, it shows that it's an imbalance already. You know what I mean? It represents justice is only blind to an ignorant ear. There is no fair balance with us. We will always continue and have to fight for what we represent. We will have to. I don't see no change coming no time soon because we're not even changing within ourselves as well.
All right. I'm trying to get a couple more in before we run out of time. Yes.
I just want to say commend everybody on the movie. I work in the industry. I have been living in Newark, New Jersey as an artist for the past 7.5 years. This movie should be on the forefront of every police municipality across this country.
Training.
Since I have come to Newark, New Jersey, I have been pulled over more times in the past 7 years than I have in my whole entire life.
Wow.
I have stood up for myself. I have gone to court. I've been violated again in court. In the past maybe 4 or 5 months, I have been pulled over in Wayne, New Jersey by cops. 3 times I had a cop tell me that he can do anything he wanted to me and get away with it.
Please turn this into a question.
So my thing is, how do we, this movie, okay, we saw it in Newark. The people who need to see it are in other communities, in white communities, so they can understand what we are going through.
Mm-hmm.
I had no recourse whatsoever. So my question is, what do we do when we get pulled over, when a cop is telling me at 11:45 in the morning that he can do anything he wants to me on I-80 and he can get away with it?
Okay, who's taking the answer to that?
What do you do? So I had to just put my hand on the steering wheel so I wouldn't get shot.
We got to answer here.
All right, just real quick. What you do, you comply. And what you do is when you are able to leave safely, you go and report that. And don't forget, there's different levels to report that. So you don't have to go right to that agency. Okay, you can go to the county prosecutor within that agency, or you can go to the criminal justice department, right? So there's different layers. So even if you don't feel like you'll get a fair shake in that agency, whoever pulled you over, there are other levels.
Okay, over here.
Hi, my name is Jason Morgan. I have a quick question for you. What cooperation or resistance did you get from the New York Police Department actually using this to make this film?
All right. Straight to the point.
I'm sorry, say that again.
What
Did you get any
cooperation-
resistance or cooperation from the New York Police Department making this movie?
I had a lot of resistance. You know, it got to the point you couldn't even tell them what the film was based on. Because once you tell them it's based on them and us, it already creates confusion. Like then they want to dig more due diligence. And the thing is, you have to get permits. So there are some things you have to explain, but you have to be wary. You have to be wary on the verbiage that you use because they'll be quick to shut you down. There's scenes in here that, like the cop on cop shooting that you've seen with Tobias and them, they didn't want that scene to happen. And they was like, listen, you got exactly 5 minutes. If you don't let the shot off right, then it's over. And then the firearm specialist was damn near working with them. So it was like, damn, like, what we gonna do? So we had no choice but to get the shot out.
This is in the film capital of the world, too.
Exactly. But,
My God.
but one thing I wanted to say, a question that the young lady asked earlier, and I forgot that I had a quote pertaining to fear. And this was a quote by Nelson Mandela. And I had it in here today, so I wanted to tell you, it said, I've learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not who does not be afraid, but who can conquer that fear. If you understand that, let me say that to you again. I've learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Don't ever live your life in fear. But don't be crazy either. Don't misinterpret the language because we can get lost in the verbiage. Be very wise, be careful, and humble yourself with these people because I'm telling you, they will kill you. It's history is showing you that.
And yet, my job here is to make sure I get many questions. We got. My signal was we have two questions, two last questions.
There go young man right here.
One.
You know, they
You
never
gotta get
get
in
the
line,
front row,
brother.
bro.
Get in
Right
line.
in,
People in the line. Get in line. Come on.
They never get the front row.
No. This is very systematic. 1 and 2. Okay, you got one. Take it.
Congratulations on the film. I'm a native of Queens. And,
Queens in the building.
Yes, Queens in the house. I know Queensbridge very much. I grew up in Southside Jamaica, Queens. My name is Joseph Pritchard.
Okay.
In his book, real quick, we talk about moving on and getting the people together. But in Tom Burrell's book, challenging the myth of black inferiority, those that have been brainwashed, how do we unwash the brains in order for them to be able to move forward?
Well, the same way as racism is taught, it can be eradicated through teaching. So that's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? It's all in the mind. It's how you educate your people and the peers around you. It has to be taught through education.
Okay, I'm trying to get one more. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jay Jess.
What's up, brother? How you feeling? I don't really have a question because I have two brothers that's on the force, so I kind of deal with this on a regular. But I want to say this. I'm good friends with Taheem, Tobias, and Jay. We go back a long way. And when I first read this, I told him it would be a hit movie. I told him it was for the right time and the right place. And I was wrong. I think this needs to be a weekly show.
Oh, there we go.
I think people need to see this every week to be reminded because sometimes when we show people something, they're good for the moment. And then after it's over, it's over. But when people are seeing something every week, a reminder, because this is just one story in one community. But just like that brother said, it happened to him in a whole nother state. I live in Williamstown. I'm the only black person in my neighborhood. I don't even drive. My wife drives. And they pull her over.
Yeah.
And as a filmmaker, I just think this is something that you touched on.
Yes, sir.
I love you, brother. I think you did an incredible job.
Extraordinary job. Extraordinary job.
And I think that this is something that really needs to be told
I've
on a
gotten
regular
the hand sign. So one thing, please, brother, continue to do this in other cities. Everybody needs this. You are feeding the consciousness. It's right on time. Now, let me also thank you all for staying late, but it may also permit me one commercial. On Friday, this coming Friday, at the Museum of Moving Image, I'm showing the episode 1 of Who Killed Malcolm X. And I'm showing, you can see the whole thing on Netflix, but we're going to have a discussion with the filmmaker. So go to movingimage.us, come to New York, right down the street from Queensbridge.
What day?
This Friday coming. And so movingimage.us. So please come out, and these conversations we do all the time.
Well, let me let
thank
them know
you.
how to find and follow the movement too. We got
Yes, go ahead.
Museum of Moving Image out here. You know,
Stand up,
so
stand up, brother, stand up.
Please make sure you spread the word because it always creates a ripple effect through the vibration of words. If you look to follow me, I'm at the Real Tahim. If you want to with Equal Standard, hashtag Equal Standard, you can always locate me. If you want to go to Twitter, I am Tahim First. You know what I mean? And I'm blessed. I'm happy to have you all here. Please, please continue on with the message because it starts with the thought.
The question is,
no, this camp is not for sale as of yet, but it will be ready for the public shortly. But we will stay in tune and keep the movement going. I promise.
Can we get one more round of applause? One more round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.